Chris Mack coming at you today with the Marvel Legends Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave Blade. I got this figure before we moved, and so he kind of went to the back burner. But here we are with him now, and man, I'm so glad that they re-released a new version because the older one's a little pricey. And you can see the packaging looks awesome. I love how it says Marvel Knights, and then right here it has that nice Pulp Fiction-y, trade dressing that says Marvel's Blade, and I'm assuming this is supposed to be like the Midnight Suns or Marvel Knights logo. Looks cool there. Great representation of Blade there on the back. Absolutely beautiful. Love the artwork here on the back. There's a read-up. I'll make sure to get closer so you guys can check it out at your convenience, as well as the figures that you need to build the Mindless One. Same awesome product art here on the back. And of course, nothing on the bottom. So with that said, is this re-release of this Marvel Knights Blade awesome or not? Let's get him out and let's see everything that it has to offer. I forgot to mention at the beginning, at the time of this recording, if you guys want to pick up this Blade figure, he is available on Big Bad Toy Store and Amazon, though Amazon, from what I saw, is a little more expensive. So I'd recommend going the Big Bad Toy Store route. Now for the backstory, Eric Cross Brooks' Blade was created by Marv Wolfman and Gene Coulon. His first appearance was the Tomb of Dracula issue 10 from 1973 as a supporting character. He was originally depicted as a human immune to vampire bites, but was retroactively established to be a Dhampir due to Wesley Snipes' movies and Spider-Man the Animated Series. Now, what's a Dhampir, you ask? From Balkan folklore, it is the result of a union between a vampire and a human. This lines up with Blade's movie backstory, so I'm appreciative of that, because anytime I see Blade in a comic, I always get excited. Now, for the accessories that he comes with, I love that, of course, we have the weapon storage for his badass katana, so that's always a great addition. Pull the sword out, and this little thing looks sweet. You can see very much the inspiration from the Blade movie, and let's be honest, I've seen a few people since the Deadpool Wolverine movie came out has said that Blade was basically started the MCU, and I don't want to give away why they're saying that, but I'm inclined to agree. Love the sheen on the blade there. Looks like a great katana. Of course, the hilt looks good, and I'm glad that they made sure to keep the details on the handle right there. He also does come with two of these cool, I'm not sure what these are called. I know they're more like hand-to-hand battles. I can never remember what the hell they're called. They're not shurikens, because shurikens are throwing stars. So if you guys can remember what these are called, let me know down in the comments. But that sheen looks great. I'm glad that the handles here match the same as the katana. They look great when you put them in his hands. Speaking of, he does come with both kind of an open hand and a closed fist hand, so there's them by themselves or on the character themselves. And I'm glad that the skin tones match, and I'm glad that we get two sets. That's one thing that I will always give Hasbro over other lines that I've gone over, like the original DC collectibles and the Mattels. I hate when you get a character and they would come with all these accessories and you get one open hand and then either a fist or like a resting open hand. And it's like, what do you expect me to do with that? That is ridiculous. The last things in terms of accessories that Mr. Blade comes with is you cannot be the master vampire hunter without stakes. Now, I wish that they would have maybe put a little bit of blackwash on these, but still you can kind of see the ripples of the wood where he's going to smash in some vampires. And I know that they sell these in the toy aisle, but it would have been cool to see some blood stains on them or something, just to show the wear and tear. But to have them, I'm not going to complain. In terms of the figure and his paint apps, yes, this very much encompasses the Wesley Snipes version. I'm more prone to see this, other than Wesley Snipes. I cannot remember who the writer was, but it was around the third volume of X-Men #1, where they take on Dracula, and they eventually have to team up with Blade because Logan gets turned into a vampire, and Blade very much had this look. The one accessory that I wish that he would have come with is I love this head sculpt. Don't get me wrong. He's just got that... and of course the sunglasses. And I'm glad that he has the Wesley Snipes flat top. Whenever he's bald, it just, to me, looks odd. So just this kind of receding hairline thing, it's just something that we've known. And I mean, a lot of us that grew up in the 90s, that's what we associated Blade with. So whenever he's bald, for me, I'm just kind of like, I'm glad that he's there, but it's weird. And of course, the sunglasses. Now, again, what I'm getting at, I'm getting sidetracked, is I wish we would have got like maybe a resting head, like, a mutual looking face, or a smiling one, especially when Wesley Snipes, I know I'm going more towards the movies, but that's where I was originally introduced to Blade, so that to me is near and dear. But when he's standing against that wall and he throws one of these and it decapitates all the vampires and he catches it and he's just leaning against that wall smiling, maybe get like a smart-ass smile face, that would have been a cool accessory too, but that's neither here nor there. Now, I'm going to say that I love that Todd is kind of starting to listen to the fans and giving us the cloth capes. I wish that Hasbro would follow suit, because whenever you want to make characters, especially like the older Doctor Dooms, when you want to sit them down, it's almost nigh impossible to get them to sit with their capes, or their jackets in this case. And they're just big and flappy, and you guys have heard me bellyache about it. So if this would have been a cloth cape, or a cloth jacket, that would have been a much wanted accessory. Now, don't get me wrong, I love how you get all the ripples like a leather jacket, or softer, like almost leather, because it's a leather jacket, not a duster. Anyway, I like that they put the red on the inside and it kind of gradiates to black. That's a nice addition, and then it ripples where it's supposed to. Now, the other thing that I am thankful for, and I'm going to say this before we get into the articulation bit, warm up your figures. I was not able to move him around when I got him out of the packaging. He was stiff as a joint, and I had to put him in front of my little space heater for a good long while to finally get his arms to... I'm still kind of having trouble to get that joint to move. The other good thing about this figure is you can take this coat off. It takes a little bit of work. I'm not going to lie, and we'll see if I can do it. If not, we'll just skip it. You really have to want it. This is one thing in terms of articulation that I wish they would have given you butterfly joints, because if he would have been able to tuck his arms in here, it'd have been a hell of a lot easier to get this jacket off. And then because his arms are painted the same as his jacket, it kind of makes it a bit more difficult. So all the ripples. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's such a pain. There we go. Now, why is that significant, and why I wanted to go through the pain in the buttness of that, is I'm glad that his katana storage, which looks great, by the way, we'll talk about that for a second. I love that we see all the little stitching where it'd be stitched onto his coat. I'm glad that it's stuck to his coat and not glued to his back, even though we can see this is kind of like a cat bucking mold because of that stupid hole. I wish they would fill that hole. But nonetheless, when he's on it, when he's wearing it, I'm glad for that red. That just looks great on the inside. And then all the black noirish look on the outside. But yeah, I wish this was a cloth cape with bendy wire. That would have been just much to be desired for this figure. But his armor, again, very much Wesley Snipes from the first movie. And because they make it where you take the coat off, his arms have to match his cape. This would have been great if he was more bare-armed. Again, that's why we need cloth instead of hard plastic. But the sheen on the armor looks awesome. They didn't shirk and make sure it's sheening all the way back. And I love that even though he's wearing that coat, cape, I'm glad that they made sure coat, not cape. All the armor goes all the way on the back. Camo pants look great. Belt buckle, awesome. And then, of course, the militaristic boots, absolutely gorgeous. Flesh tones, as we were just talking about, perfect. That head sculpt with just the right amount of tongue. And, of course, his classic goatee, just epic bladeness. Now, in terms of articulation, his head does have a nice range and go side to side. I think it's on like a double joint, so you can get really around and around and get a little bit of play. Arms that way, that way, that way. This joint, I think I need to put him in some hot water because this joint does not open up very well. And it also, I noticed, gets stuck in here. And I don't know if that's just because of the ripples on his arm. But yeah, be careful because it's hard to get that around. You probably will get some paint rub from forcing it into that little whole. Does have the upper bicep swivel. 90 degrees on the elbow. Of course, arms go up and down and spin side to side. Ab crunch up, ab crunch back. Legs that far out. Does twist there. All the way out front. But of course, like all Marvel Legend figures, they suffered the butt flap fiasco, and that's one thing they should also learn from McFarlane Toys, where the butt flap is rubber, so you can get that 90 degrees back without it coming out to the side awkwardly like that. Does have double jointed knee, upper bicep swivel, boot swivel. And one thing that drives me nuts here is he's pinless on the leg, which I didn't notice at first. I was like, yes! But then you get into the arm, and there's pins. Why would you do the legs pinless and the arms not? They must have been smoking something. That's all I can say about that. But we'll leave it alone. Foot goes down, foot goes up, foot goes side to side. Articulation, pain apps. Overall, I can't complain. The amount of accessories that he comes with, he's going to be telling all these vampires why MFers trying to ice skate uphill. Now here's a little schmeckle of the Midnight Suns that I do have from different eras. This was the Walmart exclusive Doctor Strange, which I think is the ultimate Doctor Strange in my opinion. This is the Walgreens exclusive Ileana X-Men Magic, and I wish we could get a New Mutant version of her. That would be awesome, especially with her old Bob McLeod, Bill Sienkiewicz style armor on her with her original, Power Sword or Soul Sword, whatever it was called, but I love the new one nonetheless. And this one is from the TV show, which I don't want to talk about it. But nonetheless, we got Mr. Knight, which looks really awesome. I wish I had a regular Ghost Rider. I only have the Cosmic one, which is Frank Castle, so that does not count as the Midnight Sun. But if you are a fan of the more mystic version of Marvel, these characters are definitely up your alley. I love this rendition of Blade because he looks kind of the more modern comic version, but also has a little bit of that tribute to Wesley Snipes in it. And then this one, yes, it's from the show, as I just said, but nonetheless, it still has that comic accurate version. And I have not seen a Marvel Legends release a comic version of Mr. Knight. If you guys, if so, I may swap them out, but I'm glad to have that one. If you all know where I can get a relatively inexpensive version of the Ghost Rider with the Hell motorcycle, I know they're releasing just a figure version, but if I could find that old school one with the motorcycle, that one has gone up in price. Wish I would have got it at Walmart when I did. But nonetheless, gorgeous figures. I wish, though, that Hasbro would start doing the cloth capes like McFarlane is, because, yeah, they are Todd's starting to kick butt with those bendy wire capes, really starting to give Mafex a run for its money, in my personal opinion. What do y'all think? Do you like the Midnight Suns? Do you enjoy these figures? I'm still big ass fan for this one. I will eventually go over these two. I have done Doctor Strange, so I'll leave a card so you guys can check it out at your convenience. As for me, I'm one happy collector to have all these awesome mystic characters in my collection. Are you going to pose them on the shelf? Are you going to do photography? What are y'all's plans? Let us know over on the socials. I love this iteration of Blade. This is a beautiful figure. The one thing that kind of trips me out that we talked about is how we don't see the pins on the leg, but yet we see them on the arms. It's sort of like, you guys could have done both. And again, I wish butterfly joints were a standard, because if you can get his arms further back, he would have such a nice dynamic range of motion, and it wouldn't be so hard to take that flapping jacket off. Nonetheless, the sculpt, the accessories, I'm content. I kind of wish we would have got maybe a somber face with it too. That would have been kind of neat. But nonetheless, to have a great reissue of Blade, I'm one happy little collector. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please, first and foremost, as I always say, check with your local comic shop or wherever it is that you get your action figures and comics. Or if not, you can check out the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you have enjoyed this review, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Midnight Suns bell next subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure that the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next, and I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.